Rain hammered against my windshield as I drove down the empty back roads of West Virginia. I shouldn't have been there. At the time, I ran a small YouTube channel where I explored abandoned places. Nothing huge, just creepy old houses, factories, forgotten buildings people claimed were haunted. Most of it was fake internet nonsense. At least, that's what I believed back then. The place I was heading toward was called Blackwood Farm. Nobody in the nearby town liked talking about it. Every time I mentioned the name, people either changed the subject or told me to stay away. One gas station cashier actually looked nervous when I brought it up. He leaned closer and quietly said, "If you go there after dark, don't go underground." Then he refused to say anything else. Naturally, that made me want to explore it even more. According to old newspaper archives, Blackwood Farm was abandoned sometime in the late 1980s after the entire family disappeared overnight. No bodies, no evidence, nothing. The police investigation went nowhere. After that, locals started spreading rumors about tunnels beneath the property. Some claimed the family used them during the Civil War. Others said the tunnels were older than the farmhouse itself. Way older. By the time I reached the property, the rain had become a storm. Lightning flashed across the sky, briefly illuminating the farmhouse sitting alone in the middle of dead fields. Even from a distance, it looked wrong. The windows were pitch black, the roof sagged inward, and the entire structure leaned slightly to one side like it was slowly collapsing. I parked near the rusted front gate and grabbed my camera gear. The second I stepped out of the car, everything felt unnaturally quiet. No insects, no wind, nothing except distant thunder. That should have been my first warning. I pushed through the tall grass and approached the house. The front door hung slightly open. As I got closer, I noticed scratches covering the wood around the doorway. Deep scratches, like something had clawed its way out. Inside, the farmhouse smelled like mold and wet wood. My flashlight swept across overturned furniture and walls stained dark with moisture. The place looked untouched for decades, but one thing immediately bothered me. There was no dust. Not on the floor, not on the furniture, nothing. Like people had been walking through there recently. I kept filming anyway. That's the problem with doing creepy content online. You stop listening to your instincts. Everything becomes content. I moved deeper into the house and entered what used to be the kitchen. That's where I found the hatch. It sat beneath an old dining table. Half open, a metal ladder disappeared into darkness below. The moment my flashlight hit it, I remembered the cashier's warning. Don't go underground. I should have left. Instead, I grabbed my camera and climbed down. The tunnel beneath the farmhouse wasn't what I expected. It wasn't dirt. The walls were concrete. Old concrete, wet and cracked with water dripping from above. The air smelled rotten, like something had died nearby. My flashlight barely cut through the darkness. The tunnel stretched farther than it should have. At first, I assumed it connected to some old storm shelter. Then I started noticing the doors. Heavy metal doors built into the walls every 20 feet or so. Most were rusted shut, but some were slightly open. And every single one had scratches around the handles. That's when I heard the first sound. A metallic clang, far ahead in the darkness. I froze. The sound echoed again. Clang! Clang! Like someone hitting metal pipes together. Slowly, rhythmically, I called out. Hello? No answer. Then another sound echoed through the tunnel. Footsteps, bare feet slapping against wet concrete, coming toward me. Fast. I immediately killed my flashlight. I don't know why. Instinct, maybe. The footsteps got closer. Closer! Then suddenly stopped. Right in front of me. I couldn't see anything, but I could hear breathing. Very close. Slow. Wet. My entire body locked up. I stood there in complete darkness, trying not to move. Then my camera screen flickered. Just for a second. But in that tiny burst of light, I saw someone standing 3 feet away from me. Tall. Completely naked. Its skin looked pale gray. And its face looked stretched. Like human skin pulled too tightly over a skull. It smiled at me. Not a normal smile. Too wide. Way too wide. I stumbled backward and turned my flashlight on. Nothing there. The tunnel was empty. But the breathing continued, somewhere behind me now. That's when survival instinct finally kicked in. I ran. My footsteps echoed violently through the tunnel as I sprinted toward the ladder. Behind me I heard more footsteps. Not one set, multiple, slapping rapidly against concrete, getting closer. Then came the laughing. Low, broken, almost childlike. I didn't look back. I reached the ladder and started climbing. Something grabbed my boot. Cold fingers wrapped around my ankle. I kicked hard and heard a screech echo from below. I climbed the rest of the way up so fast I nearly broke my wrist pulling myself through the hatch. The farmhouse was no longer quiet. Footsteps echoed beneath the floorboards, dozens of them, moving underneath me, circling the rooms. I ran for the front door and stopped. Someone was standing outside. A woman, tall and motionless in the rain. At first I thought maybe it was another explorer. Then lightning flashed. Her eyes reflected white, not human white, animal white, and she was smiling too. The same impossibly wide smile. Another lightning flash revealed more figures standing in the field behind her. At least 6, maybe more, all perfectly still, watching the house, watching me. Then every single one of them tilted their heads at the exact same time. I bolted toward the back of the farmhouse and crashed through the rear door. The fields outside were flooded with rainwater as I sprinted toward my car. Behind me I heard the front door of the farmhouse slowly creak open. Then footsteps. Hundreds of footsteps. I jumped into my car, locked the doors, and started the engine. As my headlights swept across the field, they were gone. Every figure had disappeared. I sped down the road without looking back. About 10 minutes later, I noticed something in my rearview mirror. Mud, smeared across the inside of my back windshield. Not outside, inside. Written with long finger streaks were 4 words. "You left too early." I nearly crashed the car. I pulled over screaming and searched the back seat. Nothing there. No person. No footprints. Nothing. I drove straight home and uploaded the footage the next morning. But there was one problem. The tunnel footage was corrupted. Every second underground was missing, except for one frame. One single frame. It showed the pale figure standing inches from my face in the dark, smiling. 3 days later, my channel received an email from someone claiming they grew up near Blackwood farm. The message only said, "They don't like when people leave." I never went back there again, but sometimes late at night, I still hear wet footsteps in the hallway outside my apartment. Slow, barefoot, and every once in a while, right before I fall asleep, I hear metal clanging underground beneath my floor.